Let's see the next topic. The next topic is protocols, and in this particular chapter these are the important topics from exam point of view. Okay, and in today's chapter we are going to cover all these three important topics. So the first one is protocols, and as you know, the definition itself says that it is established set of rules that determine how data is transmitted between different devices in the same network. What does this mean? Like in the previous chapter, we have seen the different components where there is sender, there is a receiver, there is a message, and the message is transmitted on the communication medium, right? So the protocol basically define how the message should be read, what is inside the message. All those rules are defined in the protocol. For example, if we take a simple example of TCP IP packet, there you will get first as source, second one is destination, then some sequence number is there, then you have the data. This is a simple protocol. Okay, so this rule says that first I am going to send the sender's address, afterwards I am going to send the receiver address, afterwards I will send some sequence number followed by some other parameters, and finally I am going to send the data. Okay, so this is a rule that is made in the TCP IP protocol. Okay, in details for some particular exam they will ask, but maximum they will not ask about the protocol, but you should know the basics of protocol which are covering in today's session. Okay, it is another way of defining the network protocol. It is basically an agreement. Okay, since it is a set of rules define the agreement, so it is basically agreement between the two parties. Okay, for example, how should I send the message, how should you interpret the message. Okay, so that is basically a network protocol, and all these definitions are asked in the various exams starting from banking exam to SSC CGL. Okay, and the important protocols are very important for the exam point of view, more specifically to the application layer protocol. Okay, and we are going to cover all these protocol in the upcoming slides. Okay, so let's begin this session once again. So the first protocol is HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, and the very foremost you should remember the full form. Okay, and the full form is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and Hypertext Transfer Protocol, the secure version, S stand for secure, and this full form is asked in many exams starting from SSC CHSL to RRB NTPC. Okay, and what other thing you should know about these protocol is the layer at which it works. Okay, so there are 7 layer in OSI model. Okay, there are 2 type of models which are commonly in the networking chapter. First one is network model or TCP IP model. Okay, that is 5 layer, but corresponding to that there is another model called open system interface model. Okay, that is OSI model. Okay, and OSI model has 7 layers, and the topmost layer is the application layer, and these two protocols works at the application layer, that is layer 7. Okay, and what is the purpose of this protocol? It is used for transferring the web pages from the server on the internet. Okay, this is again a very important pointer. Okay, so this protocol, what does it define? How you are going to transfer the web pages from the server to some other computer on the internet. That's why it is very important for the internet protocol, right? And sometime he can ask you the port number. HTTP basically operate at port number 80. Okay, just remember, some port is some number which is assigned to some process. Okay, so HTTP works on port number 80. And the secure version that I already told you, it is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. S is stand for secure, and it works at port number 443. and this pointer was asked in BSNL JE. Okay, so 443 is a port number for HTTPS, right? And one other historical point, that hypertext was invented by Ted Nelson in 1965. Okay, Ted Nelson is basically one of the communication engineer, so he was credited with the invention of this hypertext concept. Okay, let's see the next protocol, that is file transfer protocol, FTP, a very important, and the full form is very simple. As I told you, it is file transfer protocol, FTP. And again, these are the application layer protocols, so these are layer 7 protocol of OSI model. Afterward, as HTTP works on the internet layer, okay, or you more specifically to internet connections all over the world, whereas FTP can work on a single LAN also. Okay, so it is basically designed for transferring the file between the computers. Okay, it can work on internet also, but commonly it is used in the local area network. Okay, so it is basically used for transferring the files between the computer on the network. And the very important, the port number 20 is for data and 21 is for the control. Okay, and since there are two lines, so there will be two TCP connection. TCP, as you know, transmission control protocol, so it is going to use those two connections for operating the file transfer between the computer. Okay, the next one is SMTP. The full form is simple mail transfer protocol, and as a word itself suggests that it has something related to the email, right? So basically it works at application layer. All these which we are talking right now are application layer protocol, and it is used for sending emails. Okay, simple mail transfer means you are sending the mail to some other on the network. Okay, so it is basically used for sending the emails on the network. SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol. Port number, you can ignore it also. 25, if you want to remember, just remember it is 25 is the port number. The next one is another important application layer protocol related to email, that is post office protocol. Okay, POP means post office protocol. And as I told you, all this layer which we are talking right now are application layer protocol, and as we have seen, SMTP is used for sending emails, whereas this is used for receiving emails. Okay, and this pointers we have already seen in the email chapter as well. Okay, so for sending it is SMTP, for receiving it is POP protocol. Okay, port number you can ignore for time being. Okay, the next one is DNS. Okay, the full form is very important for exam point of view. It is domain name system, and again this layer works at application layer 7. Okay, and basically DNS is used to translate human readable domain name into IP address. This was asked in RRB and TPC. You will get to know after some time. For example, this is the domain name www.google.com. This is the domain name. So this particular layer, this particular protocol, domain name system, it is going to translate into an IP address. Okay, there is system of the server, as it is a system. So there are many systems which stores the IP related to the domain. Okay, so the domain name is this one, and this DNS is going to convert this domain name into the IP address. So this is the IP address. Okay, the next one is DHCP. It is again application layer protocol, and the full form is dynamic host configuration protocol. Okay, what it layers at operate, it is application layer, hence it is layer 7 of OSI model, and the main purpose of this protocol is the assignment of IP address to the devices. Okay, Okay, automatically. It is not like we have to assign it for every PC. It is going to assign the IP address to the device automatically, and it works at port number 67 and 68. The next one is the telnet. The first is full form is teletype network. Okay, teletype network. And again, it works at application layer. And very important one, this teletype network is used for the remote login. Okay, remote login means you are logging to some other PC through some network interface. Okay, and this pointer was asked in RRB NTPC. Okay, okay, understood now. Remote logins means you are logging to some other PC on the network while connecting to your computer. Okay, and it operates at port number 23. And the secure version, it is known as SSH. Okay, secure shell. Okay, S stand for secure, SH stand for shell. Secure shell. Okay, secure version of telnet. The next one, and the very important one for any exam, it is TCP and UDP. The full form, you have to remember, it is transmission control protocol, not transport control protocol. It is transmission control protocol, and it is user datagram protocol. Okay, transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. And this time, this is not application layer protocol, it is transport layer protocol, and it is layer 4 of OSI model. Okay, it works at transport layer, whereas we have seen the other protocol previously, all those are application layer protocol. And what exactly is the difference between these two protocol is basically how they are operating. TCP is connection oriented protocol, whereas UDP is connectionless protocol. Okay, just remember these terminology. I will not going to discuss about the protocol in details in today's session, more specifically to TCP and UDP. Just get the know-how of all these protocols. Okay, and TCP is basically used for web browsing, email, whereas UDP is used for video streaming and online gaming. Okay, since these are protocols, how it is going to handle the data, that is very important for any network protocol. The next one is IP. It is internet protocol, and it works at the network layer, that is layer 3 of OSI model. Okay, and basically the main purpose of network layer protocol, that is internet protocol, is basically addressing and routing. Okay, so the address is basically given at the network layer through internet protocol. Okay, there are two versions, IPv4 and IPv6, which is very important for any exam. Okay, since IP address is a common terminology, so these are basically the network layer concept. Okay, and the IP address can be private or the public. Okay, so as a word itself suggests that private IP is going to be used within the LAN, and it is should be assigned manually. Whereas if you talk about public IP, which are used to access the internet, are assigned by the internet service provider. Okay, let me repeat once again. So there are two type of IP address, IPv4, that is IPv version 4, and IP version 6, IPv6. And IP address can be private and public. Private are used within LAN, whereas public IP are used to access internet. Okay, so the first one is IPv4, that is internet protocol version 4. You should remember it is 32-bit IP address or 4 byte. Okay, 32-bit address, and since it is 32-bit address, so it can support 2 power 32 addresses, approximately 429 crore address. Okay, I repeat, since it is a 32-bit address, it can support 2 power 32 addresses all over the world. Okay, so since the population is 820 and we have already utilized 429 crore address, so it is somewhat we are shortfall of in the addresses in the upcoming year. Yeah, and IP address you have already seen, it is in the form of like this. There are 4 octets. These are called octets, and these are separated by dots, and each octet represent 8 bits. And each part of IP address, as you know, it will have the number from 0 to 255, and this was very important and generally asked in the exam. Okay, each part of IP address consists of number 0 to 255. Okay, and as we have seen the Google IP address, it is 140.250.190.14. Okay, so this is basically a dot notation. The other version is IPv6. It is 128 bit. So what is the benefit of having 128 bit address? It is going to support huge number of addresses, that is 2 power 128, and which is, you can say it is 3.4 into 10 power 31 crore addresses, which is a very huge number which cannot be exhausted. Okay, and there we have seen dot notation is used, and here colon notation is used in IPv6, and generally it is written in hexadecimal digit, and it is going to be replace IPv4.